Yeah. I got the emails, man. I got the emails from everybody.
Hello and welcome. This is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. This channel evaluates all aspects of true crime. As you are aware, videos and live streams in this genre often discuss elements of crime that may be disturbing to some viewers. If necessary, take the precautions needed to avoid these feelings. Factual information related to cases is the key to fostering rational true crime discussions. Fortunately, you will find that here. Please hit the like button only once, share the video, and subscribe if you like my content. Thank you very much for watching.
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp.
You know, that's just one step above stupid.
Did you hear what I said?
You know, that's just one step above stupid.
There's mosquitoes the size of bald eagles in that dadgum swamp. 5 brain cells, 4 aren't working.
Huh? It's a house!
Ah, screw it. My audio's not working. Who cares? Ah, wow. That's crazy, yeah? Absolutely wild. Where's the main screen? Oh, this one right there. There you go. Yeah, wow. Just absolutely nutty stuff, but it's not really that nutty. Me and Zozo on the side have been looking into Savannah Guthrie's sister, Annie, and also the husband, because whenever, and I said on the show, the last people that dropped him off, that's the more interesting people, even though we know that they dropped her off because 2 hour, she was sleeping and then they came back, and I can't say it on the show without any evidence at all. I'm not going to go, oh, I think it's Annie. I think it's the husband of Annie. We're not able to do that. Can't do that. But Ashley Banfield was able to put it out there because she had a source in the law enforcement that actually told her exactly what we were thinking. So that's kind of why I was thinking it was probably somebody that she knew, That's why at the beginning of the show I was messing up with the name and everything because I was looking into the sister. And, it's all those kind of things. I'm not going to say why. You can do it without... Yeah, I don't know. I kind of said... I just can't do it. I've seen it. People be wrong so many times, and it puts people in a bad situation when you do that. But it's pretty crazy. So there was that helicopter. Remember the helicopter footage that I brought in? That actually apparently could be that they were trying to fly low to see if they could reconnect to... That's why it was crazy looking. Look at this. So here's my the helicopter flight thing, and look how it's in the ground. You can't even see it over here. See how it's in the ground? It's pretty wild. So if I actually click on the flight and then hit the touring button, I can move forward to about the time we're in the area and then play it. And so this is what the helicopter was doing. Maybe we can get it right when it shows up. All right, so this is when it's still flying straight out to the area. We can see what it was doing. But apparently the FBI has been out at Annie's house. They've towed away her vehicle. And according to Ashley Banfield, the main suspect in the case right now is the husband. It's crazy. Now it's sort of a little bit like that Bergeron case that we did. Or maybe that's not the last name. Not Bergeron. What was his last name? God. It's something like that. Remember the tire in the road? It's similar. What the heck was his name? It's something like that. Right, so this is what the helicopter... Right now you're watching up above the exact helicopter pattern, and I was able to upload the KML file into Google Earth and then have it, the touring mechanism, follow the path in here. Okay, so this is literally, yeah, Brightigan, not Bergeron. Yeah, okay, there you go. Thank you. Jared Brightigan. We covered that one really well, too. I absolutely nailed that. I said exactly how it worked, how everything, where people were, etc. So here we go. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to look up, I don't know if I said it on the show, but I was looking up the husband of, let's see, I've got it right here. And I've had these in my folder. I've had Nancy and Annie. It's A-N-N-I. There's no E in it. And so look at, just watch this. This is exactly what the helicopter was doing. Of course, it probably didn't turn sideways, but look, there's her house right there. And Tommaso Cioni. So when you try to view his account, the other day it went completely blank. And it's doing it again. Look, look. See that right there? Oops, this information is not valid. So he removed, it was in there, right? Like it literally says to view it, and it disappeared. And then that made me a little bit more suspicious because then I can't look up if he has any priors or anything like that. And that was yesterday. So I wasn't able to create a file on that. And then it would also allow me to look up different information. I don't know if Annie is part of it. It could be that she was just, you know, married to this guy and he thought, ooh, you know, because he doesn't love her mom, right? I mean, he's just some guy that's probably like, ooh, if she dies, we'll get an inheritance. Yeah. And so it could just be that the husband of Annie did this without her knowledge at all. Absolutely possible. And one thing I was thinking about yesterday was when they went out, I mean, I didn't say any of this stuff because it's just too leading towards somebody, okay? But I was thinking when they went out to play mahjong and all those different things, was there any kind of an argument, something that happened during that? You know, and then it led to something else, you know, maybe I'm disinheriting you, or, you know, something like that. And before that could happen, and this is exactly didn't I say that on the show tonight? I said inheritance. You remember that? And then I thought, well, but if you kill the person but they're missing, you can't receive the inheritance. So that sort of puts me in a weird, like, okay, that doesn't make sense, you know. So you'd have to make it so that she could be found at some point. Because the insurance company would just say, well, she's missing. There's no proof. Right? Right. Well, you didn't pay attention there, Julie. When somebody's missing, you don't know if they're murdered or not. So you have to wait years for some court to deem her dead. Yeah, but you wouldn't know. Did you hear what I said, you guys? There's inheritance and life insurance. If she's missing and they don't know if she's dead, the insurance companies aren't going to pay until a judge says that they're declared legally dead. And that might take a year, 2 years, whatever, right? That's just the truth. That's how it works. They seem to think the ransom note was just some tool bag. Yeah, because now that's weird. That's kind of what I was saying on the show, is it's very possible it's just some random schmuck that shows up after, but it seemed like they were taking it really seriously. But to be fair, the sheriff has put out so much information that, you know, I mean, who knows what, you know, they put out this and this and this and this. You can probably put together a story that sounds pretty reasonable. And who knows if it wasn't just sort of a friend of theirs that did that to throw off law enforcement. They start focusing on the ransom. But I think it's really telling that they towed away the vehicle of Annie. Don't you think? I was thinking maybe we listen to some of the audio over here. Basically, when she starts talking with Enton, and this is the guy me and Zozo have been looking. See this picture. This is him. You know, and you see these pictures. He's sort of hanging out with these other guys. He looks sort of criminal-ish. You know. You know, you guys. I think this isn't something like, oh wow, that's super sleuthy gray. A lot of people have been thinking that maybe they're involved somehow. And I guess now we have to wonder if, was it really, maybe at 2 o'clock in the morning is when she was removed from the house, but maybe there was 4 hours of something going on in that house before. How do we, and again, remember how the sheriff said the reason they think that she was dropped off at 9:30 is because that's what Annie told them, you know. And so it very well could be true that she was dropped off then, and then they went back later. No, Savannah wasn't involved in anything. What are you talking about? Jesus. Where do you come up with this stuff, you guys? All right, let's just play some of this.
Website says that he put out an album.
And actually, you know, if you don't want it, you can go watch her video. It's pretty long, 40-something minutes. There it is in there. I'm going to put it in the description here. Hold on a second. Yeah, you don't have to stay here if you don't want to. Where the heck is the... There it is. I'll put it in the underneath the source. I'll put that right there. Ashley Banfield. Actually, I think she's cool. I mean, it's weird. It's weird how I have these perceptions of people. But when I was on her show, I don't know, a few months back. I think I've been on her show twice, but I was on her show and she was so nice. Like, we were just talking about her dog and stuff. I mean, it's just a normal person, you know. So I obviously sometimes misjudge people out there. I can tell you that. Yeah, we went over that on the earlier show. Were you not there, T-Girl? Yeah, so let's just listen to this.
With a 3-man...
But before we do that, I'm going to show you guys. So, as I showed you on my show, that the only thing that I have mapped out are 2 places that Annie lived. I guess it's I there. But right here, and that was earlier in 2025, and then they moved to this location. All right, that's all I've got on the map. And the reason I have them on the map is because I was looking into them. All right, and this is the first house that they were at. So they kind of came from a lesser place, and they might have jumped to up. You know, makes it seem premeditated a little bit. So if you look at this place here, it's kind of a lot of cars around. It's probably not just look at it. I mean, the next door neighbor looks like a junkyard. It's a shithole place. Okay, then they buy a place up here, and this is exactly the stuff I was thinking about. Then they buy a place up here that's probably above what maybe they can afford, but I mean, I guess she has some good work and stuff like that. You fix that to the I in there. And then they have this place in the general sort of similar community, not quite as nice as over here, but still pretty decent. You know, and so you go down and look at this one, and this house looks a lot better, but maybe it was kind of a struggle to keep up on it, you know, like to make the payments. And then they decide, or the husband decides, hey, maybe we can get some inheritance, right? Hey, let's not make this show a 0 too, you guys. So if you guys can help support the channel, I know it's another live stream. This is my 4th freaking live stream today. If you guys can get some channel memberships, etc., that would be awesome. Thank you. All right, let's see. So that's the house there, and it's only like something like 2-point-something miles from Nancy's home over here. And so what a simple... You just wonder if they have surveillance footage of their car coming back at, let's say, 2:30. Coming back to the residence there. The probable cause, if there's an arrest made here, will probably be incredibly fascinating. Hey, thanks, Papa Squatch. How many perps do you speculate were involved? At least 2 to carry. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? See, this reminds me of that other case that I was just talking about. Man, my brain. Jared Brightigan. Because in Brightigan's case, in that one, he was driving with his really young child in his car after dropping off his 2 children that he has in conjunction with his wife. And then as he's driving back, and it was like a regularly scheduled drop-off time, a tire was put in the road. He gets out and he's killed. And then I realized, okay, it takes one to put out the tire. Then there has to be somebody up the street that calls in and says, okay, here he comes. Because you wouldn't want to put the tire out too soon because there might be another car, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's exactly how it turns out. And so now they're going after the mastermind who was the ex-wife in that one. So this case... You have, does the daughter know anything? Does Annie Guthrie have any idea what is happening? Or is this husband somebody who married Annie and has just been waiting? It's just taking too long, for God's sakes. When is she going to die, for God's sakes? And he's going to hurry it along. I mean, what an absolute fool. I mean, it's going to be, this one's going to have a motive in it. And by the way, this is just what they're saying right now, that he is the prime suspect. That's what Ashley Banfield is reporting. And it makes sense. And there was, FBI was at the house today, etc. Hey, thanks, T-Girl Michelle. Very cool, and welcome. Tara Mike, what was that? How do you say that? Is that Michelle again? Yeah. Shell with 1 L. Yeah, people do that. It's Michelle with 1 L. Yeah. Yeah, the only person that's allowed to do all caps in here is our own buddy that's in here. Wait, what's that? Doesn't seem to me any of her children cared very much about her. I don't know. It seemed like Savannah cared about her. I mean, she brought her to... I mean, look at the picture I got down there. She flew her in to be at the studio. Yeah, Richard Watts. I didn't forget. I was thinking of something else. Yeah, Richard Watts is the only one. Not Riv Hard Watts, but he's the only one that can do all caps. Thank you, Angel... A.M. Green. Man, I sure as hell wish Ben Verified was open, because I actually think there would be something under a criminal history for this guy. I don't know why. It just feels like that. They were saying she knew. And by the way, maybe Annie loves her mother too. We don't know right now what this Tommaso guy, is he the guy that just decided to go do this? Hey, I'm going to go get a beer, you know. But it's also interesting, at 9:45 on a Saturday night, wouldn't Annie be immediately suspicious if she knew that her husband went out right the same night that her mom went missing? And I'm sure they've had conversations about it. So I don't know. It's not looking good for either one of them at this point. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting though. You know, could just be this other guy, this guy, right? And, of course, maybe goes out for beer here and there all the time anyways, or leaves the house and it's never been a thing. So she didn't maybe think much of it. And he could have groomed her to think a certain way, a little like Stephen Stearns. I don't know if they've towed away the vehicle, and I don't know if they're in custody yet. I'm just saying, and this is all like, it's not a fact. All I'm saying is what Ashley Banfield is reporting is that she was told that the husband of Annie is the prime suspect in the case. That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, just absolutely. I mean, it's not shocking because this is something we've been thinking about, but now that it's sort of a reality, it's like, wow. All right, so let's listen to some of this.
And music group called Early Black. Music is apparently available, but that's all I know about Annie Guthrie's husband, who, again, one law enforcement source, very connected, highly regarded, impeccable credentials, knowledge of this investigation, says that Tommaso Cioni, Annie P. Guthrie's husband, may be the prime suspect in this case, and Annie's.
So it may be the prime suspect. All right. That's, I'm not sure when you say maybe, it's it seems like the person was aware, it knows everything about the case. So I'm not sure if she's wording it that way or he worded it that way. And and she also mentions that the person went in and destroyed every one of the indoor surveillance cameras. So that would absolutely mean, as we were alluding to earlier, like, wow, somebody would have to know where the cameras were. Now, we weren't certain that one was destroyed inside, but then if that was, then you would think, okay, that's got to be somebody that knows the inside of the house. Yes, she might still be alive. I mean, at this point, if these are the suspects, as I was saying, if it was a stranger who removed her from the house, it'd be a much better scenario for her being alive. But now that it seems like we're moving towards it being a family member, etc., it doesn't seem now that there's as good a chance. Hey, when people come in and just type something like this, just remove them immediately. They're just trolls. They're not somebody that's here seriously trying to communicate. All right? So go ahead and just block that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's just a waste of time. Yeah, so I think this is going to come down to that. And that made the most sense. And this is the story that we... Remember the first night when we were talking about this? About if you... we think that it's possible that people want their inheritance, they want it, and the person just keeps living and living and living. And some of these people hurry it along so they can hurry up and get their inheritance. And that is a scenario, and I think that's exactly what is very possible right here. Now, you can't say that, but now that it's out there in the news by Ashley Banfield, now we can talk about it. Because she actually got a source that would say it. Now, she might have thought it, and a lot of you might have thought about these two people. And now we can talk about it because it's out there as a news story. Right? How many of you guys had... Let's do a poll here. And it still might not be them, but I'm just saying. It seems like they're focused on them right now. All right? So here's the poll question. Yeah, hit that like button, you guys. I mean, Jesus, here we go. Hit the like button 10, 20, 25, 30. Hit that like button 40, 45, 50. Hit that like button. It's one of the easiest damn things to do in the world. Use your nose, use your toes, whatever blows. Hit that like button. It's absolutely simple.
30, now 5, I'm 35.
Let's see. They there is they there. Wow, that's pretty PC, isn't it? I think it is a bit presumptuous to assume that if they were involved, that money had to be the motive. It's not presumptuous at all. That's usually what it is, Omi. You're always in here, never really contributing, just coming up with always a contradictory statement as if you're smarter than everybody else in the room. And I've noticed that you've never been correct on anything that you've ever said when you've been in here. So maybe one of these days you will be. We just don't know. Maybe she was really mean. All right, let's see. They were the last people to see her, I believe. Where would they be keeping her? Well, they wouldn't be. Now that it's a family member, I doubt she's alive. Unfortunately, it makes it a lot more less likely that she's alive, given the bleeding that was happening, and she knows exactly who they are, and it's just, doesn't look good. If this is the reality of this case, and maybe tomorrow the sheriff will say, I don't know what the hell Ashley is talking about, but she has a good source. The FBI was at the house of the sister today. They towed away her car. That's all reality, so doesn't that make sense? She has probably helped them out. Yeah, probably. Let's see. Savannah, and earlier I was saying that maybe there was an argument at dinner, and maybe, but it's usually financial in a situation like this, like 99% of the time. So it's not a bit presumptuous. It's just the reality of the likeliness of it. Now, you might pretend that it's something else, and you might get lucky that it's something else, but that would be pure luck, not like what are the odds kind of thing. No, but her mom lives in $1 million home, and I'm sure her sister gives her a lot. And maybe the house would have been, hey, we'll take that house, and it's probably paid for. There's no anything, So there you go. I bet you there's no mortgage on that house. I bet it's completely paid for. Yeah, let's see. Do you know his sister has a police record? She had some traffic stuff. Here, let me read what I saw. I'll tell you guys again here. The only thing I saw was, here it comes. So you got 5. Operate vehicle while using portable wireless. Who cares? Obedience required. Whatever the hell that means. Maybe she didn't pull over when a cop car was driving. Stop sign violation. Parking, overtime parking, and fail to stop for red light. That's it. So I tell you what, it wouldn't shock me at all if she didn't know what her husband was doing. I mean, we don't know anything about... first of all, I don't know anything about any of these people because I didn't really give a damn about Savannah or Annie or any of them. I didn't know who they were. I know Savannah just because she's on television. But now we're looking at it. They both look insane. There you go. See, that's it. They're right there. That sums up the case. They both look insane. That's Zozo right there. But Zozo's the one, me and Zozo behind the scenes, we're kind of looking into the husband and Annie, just because it's like, man, they just dropped him off. Who's this guy? they would have access to the home. Why'd they break in? There you go. See, that's interesting, isn't it? So he probably broke in to make it look like it was somebody else. Exactly what I said on the show earlier. Because he would have had a key. Don't you think Annie would have a key? Maybe he didn't want to get the key from Annie, and that would sort of help her, making it seem like she wasn't aware because he didn't get the key from her, but he went over and broke in. Yeah, the son-in-law. He's actually her husband. Annie's. Yeah, it'd be really strange if the sister knew, to be honest with you, because it's her mom, for God's sakes. And apparently she's pretty successful on her own right. Like, she's not struggling or whatever, so, but maybe, this new house put a little strain on it. Now, this is my 4th live stream today. That's crazy. Man. So we're going to need some juice, you guys. So if you can get some channel memberships or super chats or whatever the hell it is, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
The vehicle has been towed, impounded, and is now in evidence.
See?
Very distressing. So Brian Enton is with me from News Nation. He's been doing some incredible work since landing on the ground in Tucson. Brian, you have done, again, some outstanding reporting out in front of Nancy Guthrie's home. When the crime scene was turned over to the family, you found a blood trail.
Yeah, we did. And I was kind of surprised, Ashley, that it was not a crime scene anymore. I don't know why I just expected that they would still have some tape outside. Or, when you cover these things, they'll have like one police car that stays behind. Everybody left. I mean, it was just empty, except there were some, what I thought were family members coming and going today. I don't know who they were. So we decided, let's just go knock on the door and see if anybody is home, just to kind of see what's going on, since it's not a crime scene. It's all opened back up. And so walking up to the front door, you could see that there was blood right outside the front door on the ground, like on the stoop right there, right near the front mat going in. Just, not a ton of blood, but it was definitely blood. It was all right there. And then when you looked up, you could see where the camera was right by, almost like where it looked like a doorbell, but it was a camera. And
I mean, it seems likely that she knew. I just don't want to believe that Annie knew. And it's possible she didn't know, just based on, just kind of observing it. But at the same time, wouldn't she be aware that he was missing for a certain amount of time? And maybe they were just totally in on it. They tried to plan it really well. They're really into true crime.
Camera was gone.
Well, and my information from my source is that those cameras were smashed. Not just the front one. There was a second one. Whoever did this knew there were two, smashed them. So presumably the fact that you saw that they're gone means that the police took them for evidence.
Yeah, well, what's interesting, though, is when I asked the sheriff, I was at the press conference, and I asked the sheriff, we noticed that the camera is gone in the front. Do you think the perpetrator took the camera? He said, we noticed that, too, and all of that is under investigation. So it was kind of strange. He didn't give me an answer. Was it the perpetrator who took the camera? Was it the police who took the camera? But he acknowledged that they also noticed that the camera was gone.
I think he's having to answer in real time to, investigative information and evidence that he doesn't want out there, probably.
Is this her right there?
And having to, tap dance in front of live cameras, which is really hard. I mean, this is a small place. Tucson has barely had, massive crime. I think one of the biggest things was Gabby Giffords, 15, 20 years ago. So it's been, this is a lot. This is a big crime for them to process, and the media attention is sort of stifling. It's really, really hard. Let's just talk a little bit about that blood trail a little bit before we go more into the cameras. But you find the blood trail at the front door. The front door is closed. At least it is now. My law enforcement source has told me the back door was wide open, which sort of gives you just so many questions. Is that where the perpetrator came in? Is that where the perpetrator went out with Mrs. Guthrie? did Mrs. Guthrie answer the front door at 2 a.m. and there was a pitched fight and that's why the blood is there? Because I think you mentioned the blood doesn't go further out along the stones to the driveway.
Yeah, that's right. We looked and it was just in that area near the door. It's not like there were droplets that went out to where the driveway is or even in the driveway, which made me think, I mean, did they take Miss Guthrie out the front? And like you said, the back door being open, maybe they came in the back and took her out the front and into a car. And maybe that's why
so
the
blood back door was open.
Just stopped right there. We just don't know.
I will tell you this in my half-hour-long conversation with the sheriff last night. He said, this is a lot. This is a big crime for them to process, and the media attention is sort of stifling. You know, it's really, really hard. Let's just talk a little bit about that blood trail a little bit before we go more into the cameras. But you find the blood trail at the front door. The front door is closed. At least it is now. My law enforcement source has told me the back door was wide open, which sort of gives you just so many questions. Is that where the perpetrator came in? I think that's where he went in. Is that where the perpetrator went out with Mrs. Guthrie? Did Mrs. Guthrie answer the front door at 2 a.m. and there was a pitched fight and that's...
Right. But doesn't the fact that there's blood and out the front and then heading towards the driveway mean necessarily that that's where they took her out? It has to, right? What'd you do? Bring her back in the house after coming around? So it has to mean that they took her out the front door, regardless of the fact that the back door was open. Right? I mean, it just has to mean that.
That's why the blood is there. Because I think you mentioned the blood doesn't go further out along the stones to the driveway.
Yeah, that's right. We looked and it was just in that area near the door. It's not like there were droplets that went out to where the driveway is or even in the driveway, which made me think, I mean, did they take Miss Guthrie out the front? And like you said, the back door being open, maybe they came in the back and took her out the front.
Right, that makes sense.
And into a car. And maybe that's why the blood just stopped right there. We just don't know.
I will tell you that
the car was all the way up into here. Did it just stop right there, or did it stop right there? You know, I guess that's what we don't know.
In my half-hour-long conversation with the sheriff last night, I said, so you think that perhaps when you say Mrs. Guthrie was taken out of that home, she did not walk out of that home, are you telling me she was carried over the threshold of the front door? And he said, I did not say the front door. So that was a clue to me. Wait, okay, not the front door. And then I learned today that the back door is open. So I am very curious. There were some
She had to have been removed from the front door. Does everybody agree with that? Blood wouldn't be outside the front door and then moving towards the driveway. I mean, I guess if she tried to run and was on the ground and then they caught her and brought her back in, that could be a scenario. But it just seems like that's how they took her out. She can barely run. She can't move like that. You know, she wouldn't be able to escape somebody. So I think she had to have been removed from the front door. Hey, welcome, Coyote Mom.
Erroneous reports about Mrs. Guthrie was dragged from her bed. The sheriff actually put out a statement saying that is not what I said. So at this point, the sheriff was walking back anybody who reported she was dragged from her bed. We don't know if the bedroom was, the epicenter of this crime yet. We don't know if there's ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, and Mrs. Guthrie comes down at 2 a.m. What's going on? And something happens at the front. But why then would the back door be wide open? It's very, very confounding. Why would the blood be in the front, but the back door is open? Or did they, like you said, come in the back door, go up to the bedroom, but then take her out the front?
Yeah. I think she went out the back door, or they came in through the back door, but they had previously removed the front camera knowing that they're going to be going out there to put her into the vehicle. So they opened the back door. That's how they broke into the house. They got her, hit her, whatever, and she was bleeding, and they took her out the front door, put her into the car, and then shut the door again.
Yeah, and I'm just looking behind me because there's more cars in the driveway now. Step out of the way. You see that white Volvo, and then there's a truck. I think I think they've maybe brought security people in to just kind of keep an
her
eye
with
on
a
the house.
knuckle.
But one thing that you don't know until you're
Give me a
here,
break.
I didn't realize, is this isn't like a normal neighborhood, Ashley. It's right in the foothills. Every house, I would say, is on at least an acre, maybe 2, 3, or 4 acres. They're almost like little ranches. And it's pitch.
Come on
We've got our
now.
lights
Come
on
on
for,
now.
because we're doing our camera work, but it's pitch black out here. There is not one light out here. And it's a ways to the next house. So I'm just thinking if they came in through the back door, to take her out the back door, though, it's not like there'd be a little alley back there. I mean, there's like cactus. This is not, it's like kind of wild land out here. You know what I mean?
Where's the back door?
Yeah. But whoever smashed the cameras maybe thought it would be an easier way to get in the back door to smash a camera without being seen, go in the back, and then maybe smash the front camera from the inside of the house coming out. Who knows? I mean, but whoever it was, my law enforcement source said they knew there were those cameras and where they were in order to smash.
That was actually a pretty good idea. Maybe came in from inside, opened the door, and just kind of reached around and yanked it out. That way you're completely invisible.
Smash them. We're getting to that in a bit, but helicopters overhead while you were doing your live shot earlier today. Talk to me about that.
I'm pretty sure Annie would have a key, but that's why, maybe they didn't want... Look, if somebody didn't break into the house, they would immediately look at people that have keys. So it could even be that they had a key, but he needs to break in anyways, because they need to make it look like it's somebody other than them, because that's one of the things we brought up on the show even. Well, if it's a family member, wouldn't they have a key? They wouldn't need to break in, right? Because that's like a logical thought. But if they break in, you immediately start thinking it's somebody other than them.
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere.
Again,
all
logic,
of a sudden,
reason,
there was a
common
sheriff
sense.
helicopter that got very, very low over the house with 2 men looking out and down. And my first thought was like, sometimes they'll just kind of come by to come look real quick and then they'll leave. But they stayed for over an hour over the house and then across the street, and then in like kind of, again, it's almost like fields out here, but with a lot of cactuses in the vicinity of the house, very low, looking around. And then we saw a search and rescue truck out here, which we hadn't seen all day. So I don't know if there was kind of like, hey, we left some stone unturned and we just want to go back out and look one more time, or if there was a specific tip that came in.
So the helicopter was flying really low. There's people hanging out of it. I guess they're saying that maybe they were trying to connect her phone to her pacemaker. Like if she was buried under the ground, maybe it would still emit a signal, something like that. Or if she was laying on top of the surface.
And something specific that they were looking for, but it was very clear that they were looking for something. Because again, at first I thought like, the helicopter's doing a pass. The sheriff's office just wants to show that they're keeping an eye on the area. But no, they were searching for something.
Yeah, and I think Jennifer Koffendorfer mentioned they might have gotten called a tip, and they were out trying to find whatever it was they thought might be within the vicinity of the house. Or maybe they thought whoever took her couldn't manage for too long. And maybe there was something in the wilds. Like you said, it's pretty rural out there. The other thing that's upsetting, and I don't want to think this, is that if you're going to leave a body somewhere, there are so many wild animals in that area at night. It's very, very hard to keep the integrity of a potential body, if there is one, intact for a long time with all the wildlife. And let's hope that that's not the situation. The ransom notes, let's talk a little bit about that. One to TMZ that was detailed about what she was wearing, details inside the house, and then asking for Bitcoin. And another one to a local TV station. Let me see which one it is. I think it's KOLD TV in Tucson. KOLD, yeah. My law enforcement source says he's not putting a lot of stock in that. There's a lot of crazies out there that want to insert themselves. But what are you hearing from where you are?
Yeah, so you mentioned with the TMZ note, we learned that in the note there were some specifics about what Nancy was wearing and then specifics about the inside of the house, but we don't know if those are true. I mean, like that was just coming from TMZ. We don't know if it actually, is going to check out with what she was actually wearing.
TMZ got it. Like TMZ got that.
And it was an email, by the way.
In an email, right? Exactly.
Yeah,
but is it
right
just
there.
some
This
lunatic
guy right
who's going to
This
be traced
guy.
and charged? That, and also the sheriff said that they don't know what she was wearing. So how could the
This one
Correct.
anyway? That's part of the idea here is that emails can be traced.
Guy right there.
Yeah, they can be traced.
what's this
I don't
all
know.
about?
I think the whole thing is a little weird. Like, why would the kidnapper reach out to TMZ? And then I noticed that TMZ, Harvey Levin was saying they
I
were
guess he
having a
was in a
hard time
band
getting
or
in touch with
something.
the sheriff initially, which I just found to be kind of strange if the sheriff was taking it that seriously. But the sheriff's office did put out a statement later acknowledging these and saying that they were investigating. Yeah, there it is. And when I was at the press conference earlier, we asked, have there been any ransom notes? And I thought it was interesting. Again, the sheriff didn't answer the question. He just said, we're looking into every... And yesterday, he was much more open, Ashley. I mean, you had him on your podcast. He was all over the place. He was answering every question. He was kind of like hard to follow sometimes. I'm like, he was talking about his gut feeling about things. And I'm like, is it really what he's saying actually fact? Or anyway, but today he was much, much more careful.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said before, they're a little bit new at this. I mean, they don't get this kind of stuff going on in this rural area in Pima County. But, upsetting just to think that somebody, if it's true, may be trying to insert themselves. Let's get to some of the other breaking stuff that my source told me that's just kind of blood-curdling, that they did indeed find blood inside the house. You found the blood outside the house. The confirmation from my law enforcement sources that there was blood inside the house as well. And that they have towed Annie Guthrie's car. Annie Guthrie being Savannah Guthrie's sister and the last person to have dropped Mrs. Guthrie off at 9:40.
And they might have that car on surveillance driving around between 1:30 and 2:30, right? I mean, it seems like that's why you'd be looking at it.
5 the night before, but that they have towed and impounded her car into evidence. That is sort of the ground shook when I learned that.
That's interesting because we had heard that the FBI was at the sister's house, the Savannah sister's house, earlier tonight. I hadn't heard the towing of the car, and I just kind of assumed like they were over there talking to them, trying to get more information about, what was going on in Nancy's life in the days up to this. But yeah, the towing of the car, I'm trying to sort of wrap my mind around the reasons that they may have done that.
I mean, I guess I can understand. I'm trying to think of all the reasons why it's not a big deal, and
right.
It's the last person to have seen Nancy Guthrie. My law enforcement source says, who takes an 84-year-old woman with limited mobility? It's a burden for the kidnapper to do so unless someone has a vested interest in gaining something from it, like insurance benefits or a family debt that needs paid off, anything like that. This was just the musings, not the evidence of this investigator. But the other
that's exactly what we
sort
were
of
saying.
earth-shattering information that this source told me is that Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law, Annie's husband, Thomas Ocioni, is now maybe considered the prime suspect in this case.
Yeah, no, I'm not. When you say maybe considered, what does that mean? Is that like an opinion the person has, or does he know something? I mean, it sounds like this person knows something behind the scenes. Hey, thanks, just me. Not just you, it's all of us,
Wow. Yeah. So I haven't heard the most, like I said, the most I heard was that the FBI was at their house earlier today. I haven't heard that at all. I don't know much about them. I mean, I think they were the last ones with her, right? On Friday night.
Two reports, that Annie dropped her off or that Annie and Tomaso dropped her off. It's a little unclear, but this law enforcement source specifically pointed to her car being towed, impounded, and in evidence.
I wonder if it's, Savannah doesn't give a lot of her money, any of the money to help her sister out because they don't really, maybe there's just something not really clicking there. And then Annie's taking care of the mom over there because she lives close and they're feeling like, hey, why should I have to do this, man? And I don't know. Something led to them wanting the inheritance and everything that they deserve, Who knows, right? I mean, I guess this is just speculation currently. It sounds like, though, that Ashley Banfield had a pretty good source in law enforcement that's in on the case and knows that, the husband is the prime suspect, or at least possibly the prime suspect. I don't know what the wording like that means, but she's reporting on this. So.
And the son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni, age 50,
I've already shown the pictures, Julie.
maybe
Am
the
I gonna
prime
do it
suspect
again?
in the case.
Well, and it would make sense even if they hopefully did absolutely nothing wrong and this is their mom, and it's like makes your heart hurt. I mean, I feel terrible for everyone in the family, but it would make sense that they don't want to leave any stone unturned. So even if investigators are thinking like, we don't think these people had anything to do with it, but the fact that they were the last ones with her, she was in that car the night before, like maybe they're just going to check everything regardless.
And that, my source said there's a lot of familiarity.
I'm going to rewind it a little
They were
bit.
the last ones with her. She was in that car.
So what they're showing right now is this here. Now, it just might be hard for him to see the blood on here. See, there's blood there, and then he says, oh, you don't see it. But I think there's probably blood here. It's just harder to see because it's a different type of material. Hey, welcome.
The night before.
Charisse
like maybe they're just going to check everything regardless.
And that, my source said there's a lot of familiarity. This kidnapper had a lot of familiarity with this home, with the 2 different Nest cams that were
That's why we're
smashed.
thinking maybe somebody that worked there, a family member.
That they said an 84-year-old woman with limited mobility is not an easy person to kidnap. There has to be a benefit in some way. If you think about a break-in, no, you've caught me breaking into your house. Now
really
you've seen me. Well, you
though.
don't typically kill someone and
Maybe she
take
wasn't
the body or
alive at
take
the
the live
time.
person with you. That's not usually how a
Just
burglary
barely, anyway.
that's foiled ends. It's far more complicated and odd. The mystery is more. It just takes you in a different direction. Your thoughts, anyway.
Yeah, it's not.
The other thing is that my source said they are obviously looking at all cell phone pings and geofencing.
We saw the blood. We've seen it
to find out what was in that neighborhood. This is the kind of thing that trips up just about.
I'm saying that he said that the blood wasn't further down the sidewalk, and I'm saying that it's probably there. He just can't see it in that type of material. They saw it. We could all see it on the bricks, right?
About anybody. It may have tripped up Dr. Michael McKee in the Tepe murders. He left his phone in the hospital, but the car was seen. Brian Kohberger shuts his phone off right as he's leaving and puts his phone back on right as he's returning home, right around the times of the murders. These are things that some people just don't think about.
Yeah, and it's not just phones. I was talking to
turned it on right after he
FBI
left
agent who just retired actually from this area earlier, and he was reminding me that it's iPads. It's
Kohberger turned his phone off. Turned his phone back on about 27 minutes after the murder, not when he got back home.
All sorts. It's iWatch. It's all sorts of electronics now. Yeah, that can track you. And he was emphasizing to me that is the number one thing that the FBI is doing right now, and that they can literally narrow it down in such a way through the cell phone towers to who was right in this area, and then try to follow that device. And he thinks that's really what's going on behind the scenes right now. And there's also just questions about, do they have a suspect that we just don't know about? I mean, I was thinking back to Brian Kohberger earlier when you and I were talking every night, and it was like, gosh, these police, they don't seem like they know anything, and then come to find out they knew a lot. Are they do they just have their poker face on in these press conferences, and they actually know a lot?
And it's true, they do. I mean, that has to be. We have to be kept in the dark about things because they've got to keep the suspect in the dark about a lot of things, Super interesting, though, just about the fact that family members are always number one. Like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, Ed Smart. Ed Smart was one of the number one, suspects in the disappearance of his daughter, Elizabeth, because does the boogeyman really come into your house and steal your daughter out of her bed beside her little sister? I doubt it. Well, he did. The boogeyman did come in. Brian David Mitchell did come in and steal Elizabeth, and it wasn't Ed Smart. But the way law enforcement works is you have to start from the inside of the concentric circles and then work out to any potential other suspects. So if this ends up being prime suspect, but not the only one, and we're just eliminating him, that could definitely be the case. But I also feel like, would you tow and impound the car of Savannah Guthrie's sister, of Nancy Guthrie's daughter? And if there weren't something bigger to it, I mean, it's very loud. It's a very big move.
Do you think it's strange? And you're more, I mean, you've been in the bigger media world more than I have. Like, do you think it's strange that Savannah Guthrie hasn't said anything? I mean, could that be an indication of
Well,
maybe some drama in the family behind the scenes?
you know, so
may have
many
already
things could
been
be happening
saying
there. If I were in Savannah's
something
shoes,
about her sister.
I would be mute. I would be, you know, catatonic. You're a big media person. This massive thing is swirling around you. You don't even know what to say and what not to say. You have a
Yeah,
million.
she may have already said something about, to law enforcement, like, something about Annie and her husband, and something that she was suspicious of, and she's just kind of letting law enforcement do their thing. It would be interesting to see how Savannah and Annie have interacted with each other while they're here in the same town together.
Million friends in the media business. Everybody wants a comment from you. And the police may have just said, we'd like you not to say anything. And
Yeah.
I know Savannah. Savannah is a lawyer. She is a long-studied crime reporter.
Wow, that video is 70,000 views in 2 hours. That means it's really got about 110. Because what you see publicly isn't what the actual view count is.
I met her at Court TV. We worked together at Court TV. She is brilliant. And so Savannah will be doing the smartest things to aid in this investigation. She will do everything that the police are asking her to do, and she will not go rogue. I know that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the other aspect of that is that if the FBI was over at Annie's house, they've towed her car, they're looking at her husband.
Let's hit that like button.
If I were
everybody.
Savannah, yeah, that would be enough for me to just say, I need to just stay out of the limelight. I need to stay out of everything.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was just wondering about that because if there is a family dynamic here, might be a reason for her to, like you said, just sort of stay quiet. Although I hate to even think that. I mean, I hope that's not the case. I know you have your source, but it's like, gosh, that's just terrible.
Right.
I was interviewing Ed Smart and
probably
Lois and
lived
having
here
to
right at
ask
this
them about
time.
that. It
This
was
is September.
awful and so awkward and so uncomfortable. But I do understand it's how law enforcement has to work. They can't ignore that, or they wouldn't be doing their jobs. What about the neighbors? Have you heard from anybody out there?
Yeah, we've talked to several neighbors. People loved Nancy. We're hearing a lot of that. I mean, she lived here since the early '90s. I think 1992 is when she moved in. Which a lot of people were saying, "Oh, Savannah probably bought her the house. It's a really nice house." I mean, apparently not, because she's lived here for a long time. So a lot of people know her. And people
sure
are
she
on
paid
edge
it
about
off.
the whole thing. The police have been to all of the neighbors' houses. There was one neighbor who told me police had been there twice looking for videos. So it seems like, we've done other stories where you show up and you're like kind of surprised, gosh, how are we the first ones here? That doesn't seem like the case here. People have been going to all the different neighbors' houses. There was one neighbor who told me that they were even trying to talk to the landscapers, because there's a lot, I mean, they're really nice houses out here, and there's a lot of like landscape crews and stuff. So they were talking to them because they kind of know the area. So yeah, people have been cooperating with the police for sure.
Well, I remember a case, Nancy Woodrum in Paso Robles, California, well over a decade ago. Elderly woman disappeared from her home. It was this sort of freaked me out a little because this seemed so similar, but it ended up being a painter that worked at the house. So they will be canvassing. And I think the sheriff did say that to me. They're canvassing every single person from caretakers to landscapers.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's going to be somebody that knows her. And that's why, the ransom's probably totally bogus, and, that makes it more ominous. If it's somebody that knows her, she's probably not alive. That's just how it works. If it's somebody that didn't know her, then there would be a chance at a ransom, because she wouldn't be, and, she wouldn't be able to say, oh, this is Jim. She doesn't know who the person's name is. So even if that person saw her face, if they don't run into each other again, she'd never know who it was.
To pool, service contractors, etc. Anybody who had any kind of connection at that house, that would be absolutely number one. They would do that right away and get alibis and check for DNA. The other interesting thing is, Brian, that the sheriff today said that they have tested some of the DNA that was discovered at the house, but that nothing that's come back so far has indicated a suspect.
Yeah, I don't see a...
Right. They confirmed that the DNA connected back to Nancy, which...
Right.
I guess is no real surprise. She lived in the house, but they wouldn't say what. If, was that blood that was tested? Was that the blood outside that was tested? I do too. I do too, but they didn't confirm it.
Yeah, it's not a home invasion.
You're seeing blood outside that's fairly, it's still red. I could see your video is still red. You're testing that. You're testing that right away, because what if there was a pitched fight and a knife was being used and, the assailant was cut? There'd be mixed blood. So that would be the first thing but it was devastating to hear that so far nothing's come back, indicating a suspect. This is going to be a hard one. This will be a really, really hard one. Like you said, it's so dark out there and so rural, and it's not like a lot of Ring cameras and license plate readers are going to lead to whatever vehicle, and I do say vehicle. Nancy Guthrie couldn't move more than 50 yards on her own. She needed to be conveyed in some kind of a vehicle.
I wonder if they already have a vehicle description. Right. Because, with the FBI being involved so early, and there are traffic cameras out, like on the main road out here, and they're just not giving it to us at this point for a specific reason.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, they're going to look at every single vehicle that was in that area and find out who they were, where they were, who they were with. That's not tricky. That's what led us to Dr. Michael McKee in the Tepe murders, Yeah. What am I missing?
I think you covered it pretty well. I mean, we hit the ransom. The blood is really alarming. The cameras, which you had new information on. I don't know if you caught the press conference, Ashley.
I did.
It was a little strange. I mean, there was not a lot of new information. The FBI was there for the first time. They had the special agent in charge of Tucson who was there along with the sheriff. The FBI was not there yesterday. I thought it was interesting. The sheriff started by saying, well, I said some things maybe I shouldn't have said yesterday. And, I had to do all these interviews. It was just kind of strange. I thought, like you said, I guess they don't deal with that a lot here. And then I thought it was interesting that he said, next press conference will be Thursday.
That's right.
Yeah.
No updates unless needed.
Correct. And I was just like, okay, kind of like nothing to see here, everybody. It's just a little odd, I thought.
You know what? I thought it was strange when he said no updates until Thursday unless and until something happens. And then when I got my information from my law enforcement source, I thought, maybe it's because you do have your prime suspect. And that's why you're saying we don't need to do any updates right now. I don't know. Again, it's a great, impeccable source that I have, extraordinarily connected to this. So, and somebody who's very high in law enforcement too. So, I don't have any reason not to believe that. I do want to mention that there was dispatch chatter.
Yeah. So what this is probably an FBI source. The way she worded that, it's high in law enforcement. So that wouldn't be like, oh, this local person just happened to be well connected. It's an FBI source that's well connected because they're connected even if they don't live there. They're part of it. They know it. And so that's where she's getting it from. That's a good source. That's my opinion on what that source is.
Which was super interesting. Dispatch audio.
Yeah, they didn't have Ring camera. They have Nest cameras. And I don't know if Nest cameras, because I used to have a camera where let's see, do Nest cameras have internal storage on each camera? Nest cameras generally do not have user accessible internal storage. So it's very similar to Ring then. So they don't have an SD card slot. They don't have any of that stuff. It's exactly the same as Ring. It's just a competitor and it goes up to the cloud. Man, look at all these people in here that are not members of my channel. What a great time to gift memberships. Look at this. We never have shows like that where there's this many people that aren't channel members. Consider becoming a channel member, you guys.
Audio that was like dispatch.
It's just
talking
like a
to
Ring doorbell camera. It's just called
units.
Nest.
Nancy, a white female, 84 years of age, 5 medium build.
See that audio right there? I actually played that on my show. I just didn't know what the hell I was listening to. It was just like, it didn't say what I was listening for.
Nancy has high blood pressure, pacemaker, and cardiac issues.
Saying that there was high blood pressure medication, a pacemaker, and cardiac issues. So they seemed to know.
It's not a Ring camera.
Right away, even as before they got there, that there was some medical issue with this missing person. Maybe that came from the family. Yeah. Really
well, and
interesting,
you've heard right about the pacemaker connecting to the iWatch.
Google makes
and she was charging her iWatch in the room, and they were able to review the data in the iWatch. And the last time the pacemaker connected to the iWatch was at 2 a.m. So that's sort of how they've been able.
Yeah, so that's the precise time she was removed from the house. And Ashley Banfield even says that earlier in this.
To I just want to look again and see what. Yeah, it's
Well,
interesting. This must be security out here.
and taking pictures just to say what things look like out there. My source said to me that the separation from the pacemaker at 2 a.m. is the time of abduction. That's
right. See, that's what didn't I say that on the show earlier? I did a post and I said, do you believe? And I'm 100% certain that now we know the exact time she was removed from the house because her pacemaker quit communicating with her phone and the watch, etc., at that time. And 21% said no. Okay, and I said, well, then you're lunatics. All right, and here we are. The source just told her that that's exactly the time she was abducted. You see how if you just use logic, reason, or common sense, you get the right answer.
Police believe they refused to narrow the window for us in the press conference today, but my law enforcement source said, yes, it's 2 a.m. That's when they believe she was abducted / kidnapped. The sheriff said kidnapped to me.
Exactly.
I don't think there's a big difference, and that they believe that it absolutely happened at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, which would make sense. And again, just as dark as it is out here, I'll just show you. Like if I pick up my camera, my phone. Or we have all our lights, but look like down the street, Ashley.
Look how dark it is, I told you.
You can see what it's like out here. It's like...
Yeah, there's no street lights or anything.
Pitch black, so...
Only thing you can see are the vehicles. That's it.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Makes it real hard for an investigation, Brian. My God. Well, listen, you were unbelievable today in what you were able to... I mean, I think the blood trail is...
Yeah, I mean, both of these two got great information. We just put everything together over here.
Some of the biggest news that's come out of this, as well as the notion that
sometimes I'm able to go. Like I went to the Tyler Robinson. I've been to Idaho 4, Delphi, done all those. But for some reason where I live, there doesn't seem to be a hell of a lot of the huge cases.
Annie and Tomaso's vehicle has been impounded, is in evidence, and that they may be considering him a prime suspect. It's very disturbing. It's very distressing. But listen, thank you, because I know you're so busy. Every single show on News Nation you've been on and updating them all and just getting your crew out there, fantastic. Dave and Mo, congratulate them for the work they're doing as well. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate this.
Yeah, it's always good to see you, Ashley. I'll see you.
You too.
Probably tomorrow. All right.
Hey,
That's cool. Yeah, so there you go. There you have it. Wow, crazy, huh? You guys have any last thoughts in here? Don't worry about it, Robert. This is one of those late night shows where you can tell that most people watching, like my channel relies on the people watching to help support the channel, and we donated $46,000 last year out of the income. And so there's a lot of people that come in here, they have no clue what we do, and they're not really interested in supporting the channel that way. So it's just the way it is. But normally when we have our show at the normal time, the freaks get it done. So that's good. Yeah, we'll hit that subscribe button. Right. Yep. So you guys have any last thoughts or anything? I'm going to take off. It's pretty interesting. I think things are going to start moving quicker now. That's my opinion. It could be that these people aren't the suspects, but that's what was being reported, so I'm just relaying what we heard. I think it's interesting. And it's people that we were interested in as well. You just can't talk about it because you don't have any information, and that's just not how you do it. Now, some YouTubers don't give a shit, and they just blast out names. Oh, yeah, they're suspect. They're sus. With nothing, and it's just ridiculous. Who you talking to? Ace? Who you talking to, man? There's nobody in here with that name. All right, anyways, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. Just thought I'd come back on, and man, I was just kind of like pumped to... I almost didn't come on. I was going to go to sleep, but then I thought, you know, this is so interesting. I bet the freaks that are up late might be interested. So thanks to Papa Squatch and T. Gree Michelle, something like that. And then Tara, Michael, Angel. Yeah, it's hard to read some of these names. Angel M. Green. McGreen. Angel A. McGreen. And then Terry Crabtree, and then Coyote Mom, and Just Me, and we also had Charisse Rodriguez, new member. All right. Very cool. Thanks, you guys. I guess we'll see you guys. See you tomorrow. Make sure to hit that subscribe button before you take off, and hit that notification bell. All right. Now, you likely, if you're here, you'll probably see trolls. They like to always trash my channel, and they never talk about all the great stuff that we do. They just don't like me because of the way, you know, a disgruntled moderator that I had once a long time ago who started this whole campaign. She wanted to be a moderator on another true crime YouTube channel at the same time my channel, and I said, well, no, if you're a moderator, I just want you to be on mine. And they decided to be on that one, and then they started this whole world and community of crazy people. I mean, it's just, it's hard to deal with, but that's what happened. So thanks, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. And who knows what tomorrow will bring. So thanks for being here, and until next time, be safe out there. All right, where is it? 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a...
Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector.
Probably Rambo.
Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Grader's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector, fool deflector, interceptor, and I'm meaner than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, y'all, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you later.
Thank you for watching Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube,
where we cover true crime
using logic, reason, and common sense. That's how we work through true crime cases. Thank you very much for watching. And until next time, be safe out there.
Bye. Correct.